So الدرس التاسع, the ninth lesson. In this lesson, we are starting with something called النعت ومنعوت. So the chapter is about adjectives. Adjectives. Both adjective phrases and adjective sentences. Inshallah, we'll talk about this. So the author here, the Shah, he mentioned النعت. This is a technical term for to mean adjective. Okay, this is the technical term for adjective. And man'ud is the noun that the adjective is describing. You can think about this is the noun that this adjective is describing. Now there is another term which is also used, which is sifa and mawsuf. Okay, similar concept. Sifa is also adjective, and mawsuf is the thing that the adjective is describing. Is there any difference between the two? A little bit. Not would be more technical term, like grammatical term for adjective. Okay, and the sifa, it's your standard Arabic word that we can use to describe something. Okay, so sifa is a description. So let's see how the author started. He said, هذا الرجل. Remember this phrase, هذا الرجل. This is something that we learned in the last lesson. Okay, we explained to you when you say هذا الرجل, this is not a complete sentence. It means this man. Okay, this man. We did mention a little bit that this is something we call badal in grammatical term, but inshallah we'll not spend so much time with that. But then we have al-karim. So we have هذا الرجل al-karim. And then we have طبيب. So if we read the whole thing, we have هذا الرجل الكريم طبيب. So before I explain what's going on here, honestly, this one is a little bit tricky. So I'll come back to this one a little bit later. We will maybe start with this example. This example seems a little bit more simple. We have Abbasun. Abbas is the name of a person. Abbasun tajirun. Remember, from so far what we know, this sentence is fairly simple. We have seen this kind of sentence. We have worked with them. Abbasun tajirun, it means Abbas is what? A merchant or a businessman. Your simple sentence, the most basic sentence you can have. Now we have one additional word which says ghaniyun. So now we have Abbasun tajirun ghaniyun. So what is ghani? Hmm? Anybody knows what is ghani? Rich, right? We have had this word, rich. Now, but if you recall, we also had something similar sentence where we did not have tajir. We could have said Abbasun ghaniyun. So when you say Abbasun ghaniyun, that means Abbas is rich. So when we combine these two, what we're getting is that we are getting an adjective phrase. Now, before I explain what adjective phrase is, remember when we say in English, a big boy, okay, or a big man, okay, big man. Or you say a fast car. We do have two words side by side, right? We have a big and we have man. We have fast, we have car, two words side by side. But by reading it, we understand that this is an adjective phrase. Why? Because big is an adjective. But if we write man, boy, or man, I don't know, tree, do we get this kind of feeling that this is an adjective? Not necessarily. Why? Because both of them are noun. The man here is a noun and the tree is also noun. So first thing you have to understand when we say adjective phrase, the word has to be an adjective, meaning something that descriptive. You can describe a noun with it. So this is the main thing you have to understand, right? So just randomly adding two words side by side, not necessarily it will give you an adjective phrase. It has to make sense from the meaning perspective as well, right? So when we forget about the grammar for now, when we just read it and in try to translate, we have tajir, which is business, and ghani is rich. So we see that there is an adjective going on. So this ghani is describing the merchant, the businessman, right? And also always remember an adjective always needs a noun. Adjective is not independent. It needs a noun that it needs to describe. So adjective must need a noun to describe, which is the man'ut. Inshallah, we'll talk about this one, right? So keep that in mind. If you think about that adjective is connected to noun, inshallah, we can explain how we understand adjective in Arabic language because it is completely dependent on the noun. How so? Before I come to this explanation, I need to explain a few other things. When we talk about noun, and you know the Arabic term is ism, every ism, think about every ism, it has some attributes. There are four. Every ism needs four attributes. And they are, number one, when you see a ism, a noun, you will know whether it is definite or it is indefinite. Okay, just by looking at the word, you should be able to identify whether that noun is definite or indefinite. So this is your first attribute. They're not in order, but I'm just writing them down. Second thing that you should be able to identify is gender. Gender, whether it is male or female. Remember, I keep on explaining to you that these are not necessarily, we're talking about gender in real sense. It could be gender in real sense, but it can also be gender from a grammatical perspective, meaning the word. Okay, we explained to you before. So just by looking at a word, we should be able to identify gender as well. And then looking at the word itself, we can also identify something that we'll spend a lot more later, which is its state. State, you can think about grammatical state. I'll just write grammar for now. What does it mean? Remember, we mentioned to you that the ending of the word, it is reserved for the grammar. And we said the default was Dhamma, right? So Dhamma. And they have names. Inshallah, we'll spend a lot more time with their names. For example, Dhamma will say Marfu. Now, we're not going to spend so much time with the names right now. And then we also learn how we change from the Dhamma into a Kasra. Now, so this is called Majroor. Again, we will learn them later. And then it also has another state, Fatha, which we'll call it Mansub. So as you can see, just by looking at a word, we should be able to understand what is its grammatical state right now. Okay, is it in Dhamma state? Is it in Kasra state? Or is it in Fatha state? Now, these are right now very abstract, but when you learn them, it will be extremely useful in order to understand the meaning. Without this grammatical state, we may not know what the role this word is playing in the sentence. These are not mere symbol. Okay, this has very significant in the Arabic grammar. So this is the third thing that we should be able to identify about ism now. And the fourth one is the number. Number, meaning whether it's singular or plural. And there's a dual in Arabic language, right? I'll just write singular and plural for now. Singular or plural. Okay, this is something that we should be able to identify by looking at the noun itself. So this is pretty interesting, isn't it? So let's see if we can do something like that. So for example, if I say al baitu, you know what? I'm going to say al baiti. Now let's say we have this word. For whatever reason, we have the word exactly like this, al baiti with kasra. So can we identify all the four attributes? Number one, with regards to definiteness, what is it? Is it definite or indefinite? You can write D or I. What do you think? Is D, yes. So see, just by looking at the word itself, we know that this is a definite. Why? Because we have alif lam. We already studied it. Second thing, is it a masculine or feminine? The gender, this word. Masculine, there is no ta marbuta. We assume it to be a masculine word. Inshallah, we'll learn that there are other signs which will indicate that the word is feminine. Now, with regards to its grammar, what do you think? What state is it in? Majroor, yes. So what does majroor means? Remember, Inshallah, we'll learn these words very soon. Majrur mean kasra. So we just by looking at this one, we know this is in the kasra state. So now we know something is going on with this word. This word, the state of this word has some significance. Since we studied the kasra state already, we know probably there's some preposition before it. Or this word could be a mudaf ilayhi, the second word of idafa. So for example, we could have ba bul baiti. Okay, so if we have idafa construction, the second word is always in kasra, right? And another thing, the last thing that we said we should be able to identify is whether the word is singular or plural or dual. When you say al-bayt, it is a singular or plural? Singular. Now we say the house. Now singular. I'll just do one more example and then we'll say why this is super important. So let's start with this one. Zainab. Give me the first one, definite or indefinite? Quickly, this should be very quick. D. Okay, why? Why do you think there's no alif lam? But this is a name of a person. We studied that name of anything, person, city, town, country, they're all definite. Now, very good. So now the gender. The gender is what? Feminine. Now, why? Because Zainab is the name of a female person. What about the grammar? Hmm? The state is Dhamma. You can call it Dhamma for now. Inshallah, very soon we'll get into the technical meaning, technical terms, which is marfu. Marfu. What about the number? Huh? Singular, plural? Singular, yes. Every single noun we should be able to identify just by looking at it. Now, why is it important? It is important with our topic because the adjective, remember what I said, adjective always needs a noun. So in Arabic, this adjective is super glued with the noun. Such a way that adjective will have all of these attributes exactly as the noun. Okay? Adjective will also have all of these four attributes and they will be exactly the same thing as whatever the noun has. So for example, I'll give you one more example to start with something simple. So say bint, let's say bintun, okay? Bintun is, we know that this is what? Definite or indefinite? It is indefinite. This is female and this is Dhamma and it is what? Singular. Make sense? Do I have all my attributes right? Now, if I want to say Bintun is a girl, I want to say a beautiful girl or a small girl, let's just say a beautiful girl. What I have to do, how do you say beautiful? Jamil, right? Beautiful is Jamil. If anybody asks you, how do you say beautiful in Arabic? You say Jamil. Now, in order to describe the girl with this description or this adjective, Jamil, I have to copy every one of them. So for example, it is indefinite, Jamil has to be indefinite. Meaning I cannot say Al-Jamil. I cannot say that. It has to be Jamil. Now the bint is feminine. I need to make sure that Jamil, the adjective is also feminine. Is our Jamil feminine? Hmm? No, it's not. So now I have to change something here. I have to make it into a feminine. Jamila by adding tamaruta, something that we studied already. So now these two checks out. Then second thing we said the bintun has dhamma state. So what can I say jamilatin or jamilatan? No, I have to put jamilatun. Why? Because I'm just copying everything from the noun. And because the bint is singular, Jamila is also singular. Inshallah, we'll talk about the singular and plural very soon. But right now, just know that Jamila is also singular. So that's how we construct a adjective. But one thing to note that in Arabic, adjective comes after the noun. Okay, adjective comes after the noun. In English, we say the adjective first. A beautiful girl. But in Arabic, we say bint Jamila with the noun first and then the adjective. So one more. So let's say we say ila. We say ila anna fi the. Anna fi the. So what is anna fi the window now? So we want to say ila to the window. So obviously we know after ila, what we have to do is we have to put a kasra. Very simple thing, we have studied them already. So ila nafidati. Now I want to say the small window. For example, let's say there's a big window and the small window. So how do we say small? Just give me the word itself for now. How do you say small, the word? Hmm? We say صغير. نعم. صغيرون. So now what do we do? The first thing is that the adjective has to be definite. Can we just say صغير here like this? Hmm? No, we need to have alif lam. So now you see we have to have alif lam. So now our first one is checked. Second one is what? Gender. So what do we do? Sagir is fine? No, so we need a ta marbuta. Why? Because this one is feminine. We have ta marbuta here. We have to copy everything. What about the grammar? Can we say an-nafidati saghiratu? No, we can't. Why? Because we also have to copy the grammar, whatever the ending haraka. We had kasra, so we need to put a kasra. Okay. And with regards to singular or dual or plural, both of them are singular. So everything else checks out. Okay. So this is how we construct adjective. So as you can see, we have to, first thing we have to master, or at least we have to know every noun has 4 attributes. And these are fundamental. Every single noun will have these 4 attributes, and inshallah, you will see them that they come in very handy. They are very important to understand. And the adjective phrase, we can use adjective 2 ways, as a sentence and as a phrase. When you are using as a phrase, you have to copy every single thing. So let's go back to the text, and this is what we have. We have Abbasun, then we have Tajirun, and we have Ghaniyun. Tajir is indefinite, it is masculine, it has the Dhamma, and it is singular, and Ghani is copying everything. So how do we translate? Abbas is a rich merchant. Make sense? We have another one, al-Arabiyatu lughatun. Lugha is what? Language. Language. Jamila. See, lughatun jamilatun. So lugha is a feminine. We need an adjective that is also feminine. So Arabic is a beautiful language. So now, as you can see, the first one, the word that we're describing, it is man'ud, and the adjective itself is called not. Man'ud is something that is being described. So what is being described? The noun, the tajir here is being described. Makes sense? So here the luga would be man'ud and jamila would be not. So now coming back to here, this one is a little bit tricky because we have هذا الرجل الكريم, then we have tabib. So what's going on here is that when we say هذا الرجل الكريم, it means this kind or noble man. So this is not a sentence. Okay, adjective phrase is not a sentence. So we're saying this noble, or it depends how you translate the Karim, kind man. Is it a sentence? No, it's not a sentence. It is still adjective phrase. So we're trying to describe the rajul with Karim. So we say a rajul is alif lam. We need our adjective also to be alif lam, meaning definite. And rajul is masculine, Karim is masculine, and everything else checks out. Now, if we were to say هذه المرأة or هذه البنت, what would we need to do? We needed to say كريمة الكريمة. We had to add ta marbuta. Okay, so make sure you understand this concept. Now we say the whole thing is actually a phrase. Now we want to describe what about this kind man? We say he is tabib, he is a doctor. So here, as you can see, ar-rajul is the man'ud and kareem is the not. Make sense? Main thing you should understand that as soon as you know what to put in the noun, your adjective is simple. You just copy everything. Now we have more example. Ar-mirwahatun. What is mirwaha? Mirwaha is fan. Fil ghurfati. So we already know after preposition we have a kasra. As you can see, this not the adjective is copying everything from the noun. So we have alif lam, ghurfa has a ta marbuta, we add ta marbuta into kabir. This one has kasra. We also add a kasra. Okay, so make sure you understand this one. Then we have al-kub. Kub is a cup. It can be used as a glass as well, I suppose. Lil mudarrisi, li, harful jar, right? After li, we have a kasra. Lil mudarrisi al-jadid. So how would you translate this one? If you say al-kub lil mudarrisi al-jadid. Because if you don't understand the adjective phrase, you will not be able to translate properly. The cup of the new teacher. Yes, the cup, you can say of, or you can say belong to, or for. Cup is for the new teacher. So now, because we see that everything is matching, that this is an adjective phrase. Now, another thing I want to mention to you, remember last time I explained to you this concept about that when you have first word is definite, second word is indefinite, it is usually what? A sentence. Yes. And we said when first one is indefinite and the second one is indefinite, what do we think about this word? What is the first thing we should think about? That this is what? Adjective. Is it always? No. And also, what would happen if we have both of them definite? Hmm? What do you think? Yes, it would also be adjective phrase. Okay. And what would we assume if first one is indefinite and second one is definite? What is the initial assumption? It should be what? Possessive. Mudaf, mudaf ilayhi. Okay, so this chart in the beginning, it helps you a lot. And that's why you can think about here, even though we have hada rajulu, we don't translate as a sentence because this is also definite, this is also definite. Now, there's an exception. Inshallah, we'll talk about this one when it comes. But right now, beginning, if you think about, if you see two words side by side, for example, let's say, if you were to look into this part only, forget about everything else, what would be in your mind? What do you think about these things? Forget about the meaning. What should be in your mind? Is it a sentence or adjective phrase or a possessive case? First one is definite and second one is indefinite. What should be in your mind? That this is what? A sentence. And you will be right. If you say Al-Karimu Tabib, it would be, we have to translate as a sentence. There is no exception. We have to say the kind is a doctor. Whether it makes sense or not, that's something else, right? But from the grammatical perspective, we have to treat this one as a sentence. But what if you just look into this one here? Okay, let's say there's nothing else here. You're just looking at this one. Hmm? First one looks like a definite and second one looks like definite. What would be your assumption? Your assumption should be what? It is adjective phrase. Now, so here you cannot translate the room is big. You cannot translate as the room is big because both of them are definite. So we have to translate as a phrase, the big room. But what would happen if I remove this alif lam from here? Hmm? Now we have the first one is definite and the second one is indefinite. Now it becomes what? Becomes your sentence. Okay, so this one is pretty tricky. Okay, so be careful for this thing. Otherwise, you will translate wrong. Now, makes sense? So he's giving you a little bit more examples. He's saying, هذا الرجل كريم طبيب. But he's saying something is wrong here. So what's the wrong? Anybody can guess what's the wrong here? هذا الرجل كريم طبيب. So the problem is Kareem. Here's we have a problem. It should have been Al-Kareem. Yes. هذا الرجل الكريم طبيب. Because this is not adjective. This is man'ud. It has to copy everything. We have Abbasun Tajirun Al-Ghaniyu. What's wrong here? First of all, as you can see, going back to that technique, if we just look into these two parts, look into two words side by side. If you have this word and this word, what do you have? D plus I, right? That makes a sentence. So you say if only thing you have Abbasun Tajirun, that means definite and indefinite. So you have the Abbas is a merchant. But now let's look at these two words. you have this one is indefinite and this one is definite. Now, if everything was fine, because they made a mistake purposely, right? If you're reading a book, everything is fine, your initial guess should be this is what a possessive phrase, because you have a first one is indefinite, second one is definite. But here we have a problem, and of course you have to check whether it makes sense or not. Who can tell me why it cannot be possessive phrase? We have two mistakes here. Why it cannot be idafa? Yes, mudaf cannot have tanween. Very good, ahsanti. So we cannot have tanween here. So we know this cannot be a possessive phrase. It has to be something else. And also, mudaf ilayhi needs to be a kasra, and this is not kasra. So we have a lot of problem. So obviously here, what we want is adjective phrase. So how do we fix it? This is a tricky one. You have to know how to fix it. In order to know how to fix it, you have to look into the whole thing. If you want to construct a sentence, which one do you fix? Do you fix the tajir, this one or two? Which one do you fix? Yes, so you have to fix here. You have to remove alif lam. You have to remove alif lam. But as soon as you remove alif lam, what do you do? Can you say ghaniyu? Can you say abbasun, tajirun, ghaniyu? Hmm? No, you have to bring back your tanween. But what would have happened if instead of that, I put alif lam here? So you say Abbasun at-tajiru al-ghaniyu. Abbas the rich merchant. Yes, that, so it has that meaning. So meaning from the technical perspective, is nothing wrong with this, but it's not a sentence. It will not be a sentence. In order to be a sentence, we need a definite and indefinite. Now, so the correct would be, we do here like this. Now, then we have al-arabiyatu lughatun jamilun. So what's wrong with this one? This one looks like pretty good to me. So what's wrong here? Al-Arabiya, the Arabic is a beautiful language. What's the problem here? Now, so your adjective is not matching with your noun gender. So we need a tamarbuta. Makes sense, guys? So we have liman tilka sayyaratul jadida. So what's wrong with this? This is we're not matching the ending. So here he's slowly, by example, he's showing all of the things that it needs to match. And I already told you that it needs to match the definite, it needs to match the gender, it needs to match the ending haraka, and we need to have the same numbers. Okay, so what's wrong here? The ending is not matching. So this is the noun, man'ud. This is a not. Ending is not matching. So al-miruhatu fil ghurfati al-kabir. We need a ta marbuta. Ghurfa is feminine. Al-kub lil mudarrisi al-jadida. The mudarris is masculine. This is feminine. So this is not good. How do we fix it? We remove ta marbuta. Make sense? So these are your examples. I spent a lot of time here because honestly, this concept can be tricky, but once you figure this thing out, a lot of things becomes much easier. Okay, so make sure you understand that every noun will have these four attributes: definiteness, gender, is grammar, which basically the ending, and the number, whether it's singular or plural. And when we construct adjective phrase, we say the noun first and then the adjective, and then adjective will simply copy every one of these four attributes. Okay, just like the way we saw in the example. Now, the next topic is alladhi, which is another interesting and important topic. But here we will not go too much in details. Alladhi has its whole chapter in the grammar anyway. But we'll just see how to use it in basic form. So what is alladhi? Alladhi is also another type of pronoun. In English, we call it relative pronoun. Uh, yes, in Arabic, we say ism mawsul. So what is a relative pronoun? Relative pronoun is, for example, in English, we say which, that, whom. For example, you want to say, I saw the man whom I saw few years ago, or I read the book which you recommended. So this which, see, it goes back to the book. So this is what alladhi does. Alladhi is bring this kind of relative pronoun. So for example, what he says is alladhi ismun mawsul. So this is a relative pronoun. Ismun mawsul It means the relative pronoun. Okay, relative pronoun. Lil mufrad. So now it's going to be a similar issue what we had with hada and hadihi. We have to know whether or not alladhi we can use for every single situation. So he's going to tell you how to use it. So it is for lil mufrad. So it is for singular. We cannot use alladhi for plural. Then for mudhakkar. This issue with the gender is very important in Arabic language. Inshallah, I think you are understanding it. Everything you have to be careful whether something you can use for masculine or feminine. So here we're saying alladhi, we have to use it for mudhakkar. We cannot use it for feminine. You cannot say ra'aytul bint alladhi. So bint is a feminine, you cannot say alladhi. We have to use allati. Inshallah, we'll learn them later. So we have a problem here. It needs to be singular, it needs to be masculine, and we have for aqil or ghair aqil. So alladhi doesn't matter whether whether you're using for a human being or for object. It doesn't matter. We can use alladhi. The way ism mawsul works, the way they work, it is kind of, you can think about it is like adjective. Okay, it is like an adjective. Okay, but there's some rules. Number one is that with alladhi, you can only describe something that is definite. You cannot describe indefinite with alladhi. So for example, if we see here example, at-talibu alladhi, the student, whom or which, then you have to say something. You know, you have to describe what you're trying to describe. So this opens up if you want to use the slot for describing whatever you want to describe with this. So what comes after alladhi is another complete sentence or pseudo sentence. Inshallah, we will learn. But right now, think about complete sentence. Yeah, Sila. So what comes after that is you are describing what? The student. So technically, alladhi would be, you can think about that it is an adjective, but it needs to be, the noun needs to be a definite. So at-talibu alladhi, the student who kharaja min al-Hind, who went out or the left India. Okay, so you're describing the student who left India. So now we have another one, al-kitab. So this one, at-talib was aqil and kitab is غير aqil, object, but you can still use alladhi. You say al-kitabu alladhi ala al-maktabi lil-mudarris. So the book which, you see, it's going back here, which on the desk is for the teacher. So I hope you can translate this one. I'll write it down. The book which is, so here's the which, okay, on the desk, okay, then you say is for the teacher. Now we have another one, manil waladu saghir alladhi kharaja. Manil walad, who is the boy. So we have adjective for the boy also. We could have said manil walad alladhi kharaja. If we remove this one, we could have said manil walad alladhi kharaja. Who is the boy who left? But now nothing is stopping us to describe the boy because we know how to use adjective. So we could say manil waladu saghir. So as you can see, this is an adjective and everything is matching. Okay, this is a masculine, saghir is masculine. Okay, definite, dhamma, everything is matching. Now we are adding one more adjective. We're not only saying that the boy who's small, but we want to say something else about this boy. In order to describe this one, we have to use a sentence. This is when we bring ismun mawsul. So we say alladhi. So now alladhi goes back to walad. Alladhi does not go back to as-saghir because alladhi will describe a noun. So it has to go back to the noun. The noun is al-walad. And as you can see, al-walad is definite, alladhi is definite. You can think about that it has alif lam. Okay, and this is for masculine, and we just mentioned to you that alladhi is also for masculine. Make sense? So now we can say whatever we want to describe. Kharaja. Kharaja is he left. So how would you translate this one? Al-waladu saghiru alladhi kharaja. So how would you translate? We have a question. Who is the small boy who left? Make sense? So hopefully you are paying attention the way alladhi is being used here. So for example, another one, al-mudarrisu alladhi, mudarris, masculine, alladhi is masculine. You cannot say al-bint here. You cannot say al-bint here. You cannot say al-bintul ladhi. It's not going to work. Why? Because he said here it is for mudhakkar. We have to use alladhi for mudhakkar. Inshallah, we'll learn how to say for muannath, meaning mudhakkar means masculine. So we have al-mudarrisu alladhi jalasa ala al-kursi jadidun. What is jalasa? Jalas is another verb. It means what? To sit. And remember, this is a past tense, so we'll write sat. So how would you translate al-mudarrisu alladhi, the teacher who sat on the chair, is jadid, is new. So as you can see, if you don't understand where to stop, you will not know how to translate this sentence. You have to know where the khabar, your predicate, starts. Where is your predicate? You have to know where is your predicate. So this whole thing, that's why you have to understand how to connect. So al-mudarris, this is the noun, and alladhi is connected to this noun. So now whatever comes after alladhi, it is just describing this mudarris. So they come in one pack. Now what do you want to say about them? You say jadid. So the teacher who sat on the chair is new. Then we have al-baytul kabir alladhi fi shari' lil wazir. So anybody wants to translate this one? What is shari'? Shari' is street, and wazir is what? Wazir is, you can think about minister. No. So anybody wants to quickly translate? So we can say the big house which in the street, maybe I suppose you can say which is in the street, is for the minister. So we're getting a little bit complex sentences here. These are a little bit compound or complex sentence. Okay, it's not very simple. My main concern is that you have to know where does your predicate start. This is where the complex start. Where do you put the is? And if you're mastering this concept about definite and indefinite, this will help you out a little bit. Whatever comes after alladhi, it is wrapped inside one unit you can think about, right? And this whole unit has to describe a noun. Okay, it is describing al-mudarris. So then what happens? The whole thing becomes one unit. Now, what do you want to say about this unit? That's where the khabar happens, predicate happens. Okay, so a little bit complex, but please do get used to this reading. Inshallah, when you read the chapter, I think you will have a lot of this type of sentence structure. You will get much used to it. So inshallah, he's just showing you what's wrong here. You say manil waladu sagiru. Okay, so what's wrong here? He says manil waladu sagiru kharaja. Yes, even in English, we will need who. For example, if we translate word for word in English, we say who is the small boy left. Even in English, if we say like that, who is the small boy left? You still in English, you need a relative pronoun. Who's the small boy who left? Right? You still need this who. So that's what's happening here. We know what you're trying to say based on the words that you're using. We know what you're trying to say, but it is not complete. This is not how we say it. We need to have ism mawsul. We need to have ism mawsul. So we say alladhi here. So we need to have alladhi. Alladhi. Okay, so then it will make sense. Manil walad saghiru alladhi kharaja. Okay, who is the small boy who left? Same thing. You're trying to say the book on the desk for the teacher. Even in English, we know that we need a relative pronoun. You're saying the book which is on the desk for the teacher. We cannot need the relative pronoun. So here we'll need alladhi. Sorry, we need alladhi here. Alladhi. We say al-kitabu alladhi ala al-maktabi, the book which is on the desk. Now we say, what about this? Lil mudarris, for the teacher. So the alladhi is missing here. You really need to spend, I really have a feeling if this is the first time you're seeing these things, you really have to spend at least 4 or 5 hours reading them and thinking about them. Otherwise, this is not easy. I'm telling you, this is not easy. You may need a little bit time to get used to them. لمن القلم, you need الذي here, الذي على المكتب. Make sense? So look what it says. This is the rule. This is the rule that I give you. Subhanallah, the author is also give it to you. So this is very good. He says a not, which is adjective. A not يتبع المنعوت. The adjective follows manwood. Just think about noun. Okay, I would rather translate the manwood as a noun because adjective needs a noun. Adjective always describes a noun. So the adjective follows the noun in التذكير والتأنيث. It follows in gender, masculine or feminine. Meaning, if the noun is masculine, adjective will be masculine. If noun is feminine, adjective will be feminine. والتعريف وتنكير. This is your definite or indefinite. Ta'rif is definite, tankir is indefinite. So it also needs to follow the definiteness. If the manwood is definite, not has to be definite. If manwood is indefinite, not has to be indefinite. Wal i'rab, and the i'rab. I'rab is the grammatical state that I was talking about. So this is a very technical term. Inshallah, we will study them a lot. So i'rab basically means the ending of the word. Okay, so whether it adds in dhamma, fatha, kasra, maybe sukun, we'll learn when it comes to verb and whatnot. So this is what i'rab. So it also has to match the ending haraka. So if the noun has fatha, for some reason, your adjective needs to have a fatha as well. If noun has a kasra, you need to put a kasra as well. Well, ifrad right now he just mentioned ifrad. Later he will write a other things because ifrad means singular. Meaning, if noun is singular, your adjective needs to be singular. But if its noun is a plural, then your adjective has to be plural. If noun is muthanna, dual, then adjective has to be dual as well. Inshallah, we'll learn about them. It makes sense now? So make sure you understand this rule that I explain. I spent a lot of time explaining to you because this is extremely important. This rule is extremely important. Any questions? I find this chapter to be a little bit challenging, so I really urge you to spend time on this chapter, not only because of the na'at and man'ut, the adjective. Also, I'm worried that you might need a little bit practice to understand the translation when you have a sentence with alladhi. Okay, so it might be a little bit tricky. So let's see what we have in the book. So here we have ad-dars at-ta'si, the 9th lesson. As you know, here we don't go through the entire book. So let's see what we can pick up. For example, this one we already had, Abbasun Tajirun Ghani. Look what he's doing. Huwa Abbas. So first he said Abbasun Tajirun. Okay, Abbas is a merchant. Now he's adding adjective. What type of merchant? How would you say he is a poor merchant? Huh? What would you do? Instead of ghani, you will say faqir. Faqir. Faqirun. So we have Hamidun, Mudarrisun, Jadidun. So as you can see, if you look into these two words side by side, you know their sentence because this is definite, this is indefinite. And when you look into these two words side by side, you know that this is adjective phrase because this is indefinite, this is also indefinite. You have to have a very good sharp eyes to find out which one is sentence, which one is adjective, which one is possessive case. I really would want you guys to feel comfortable doing this one from now on because you have seen all of these type of permutations. Otherwise, you will have difficulties translating. So we say that Hamid is a new teacher. Okay. So as you can say, al-fakiha is feminine. So in order to say, how do you say tasty? You say ladith. But now you cannot say ladith. You have to say ladida because this is feminine. Your adjective needs to match the gender. Now, sahla is easy. Saab is difficult. Let's see if there's anything else. What is kaslan? Kaslan is lazy. Now, these are another interesting type of word. I'm going to see if the author give you more of this word or not. If he did, I will explain. If not, the author will explain later. Okay, so I'll explain a little bit more about this word because as you can see, there is no tanween. Okay, I said that if there is no alif lam, we need to have tanween. There is no alif lam, there is also no tanween. And I will explain if I see more. Uh, don't get confused what's going on here. This first one is Hamzatul Istifham, the question. And this one you can also replace with hal. Okay, you can replace with hal. Hal is the same thing as Hamza. You make a yes-no question. Hal anta talibun jadid? Or you can say a anta talibun jadidun. Both of them will make sense. So please read them. These are right now, all of this exercise has to do with adjective, nothing to do with alladhi yet. So please make sure you understand this. I don't see any issue here. Khadijatu talibatun. So this is nice. So you bring an adjective. Just remember whatever adjective you want to say, it needs to match the gender. So you're saying Khadijatu talibatun. Now you want to say new students. So what do you say? Jadid, jadidun. No, it's not going to work. You need to have ta marbuta, jadidatun. So here we need the noun. Al-lugha al-arabiyatu, you'll say lughatun sahlatun. You can say Ammarun. You don't have to say Tajir. You can say Rajulun. Rajulun Ghaniyun. Faisal is Waladun. Waladun Kasla Nu. So this is a peculiar word. I will see if there's more. Oh, speaking of this peculiar word. So the author did introduce this concept, but the Sharh did not talk about this. So as you can see, we have few words here that has similar ending. We have kasla nu, jawa nu, atshanu, ghadbanu, mal'anu. So what's going on? First of all, let's do the translation. What is kaslan? We said is lazy. So this is an adjective. What is jawan? Anybody knows what jawan means? It is hungry. Naam, hungry. What is atshan? Hmm? Thirsty. Okay, what is ghadban? Angry. What is mal'an? You can think about filled. You know, you're filled. So as you can see, number one, they're all adjective, and number two, none of them has tanween at the end. So you cannot say kaslanun. That is wrong. You have to say kaslanu. Now, do you see any pattern here? Anybody can think about what is common between all of them? Maybe we can make a rule. Alif and Noon. Yes, ahsanti. If you look carefully, all of them are ending with Alif and Noon. 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 So this is one of the rule when you have adjective or noun. Noun means proper name. Proper name ends in Alif and Noon. Okay, then no, then it will not take. Then what happens? No tanween. Don't worry, this concept of ghair munsarif or mamnu min as-sarf, this author will explain in details in this book. So inshallah, we will talk a lot about the terms and everything. But right now, just get comfortable with idea that some word simply cannot take tanween. Yes, it won't be able to take kasra as well. Inshallah, the author will also mention it. Okay, right now we just have to get comfortable that there are some words just can take tanween. What is the mal'an? Mal'an is means filled, to be full. Okay, so for example, you can say hadha al-kub mal'anu. This glass is filled or full. Ana jaw'anu. Anta jaw'anu. La ana atshanu. So please, here al-kub mal'anu. The cup is full. So Who wants to translate this one? لماذا المدرس غضبان اليوم? We have to know a few words. What is لماذا? What is لماذا? Why? Now, لماذا is why. المدرس we know. غضبان we just learned. Angry. اليوم. What is اليوم? اليوم is today. اليوم can also mean the day, because يوم is day. يوم, يوم is day. So what happens when you add alif lam? The day. But in context, it means today as well. Why is the teacher angry today? Yes, ahsan. Yes, very good. So now we have the section 2 of the same lesson. This is where he will talk about alladhi. So I'll skip a lot of this and go into this alladhi. So as you can see, he's saying man dhalika rajul. How would you translate dhalika rajul? You say that man. That man. Who is that man? At-tawil. Now we are describing more about that man. So you're saying at-tawil. So who is that tall man? So now you have to change your meaning. The tall man. How do I know to say tall man instead of saying the man is tall? Because as you can see, everything is matching. This is an adjective phrase. This is definite, and this is definite. As soon as you see two words definite side by side, you should be thinking about adjective phrase. Okay, it may be something else, but initial thought would be adjective phrase. Then we want to describe more. We're not done describing the man. Maybe there are other tall men. So you want to say الذي خرج الآن من المدرسة. So الذي is whom, who, or you can say who or whom, I don't know. خرج الآن. What is الآن? What does الآن means? Now, yes, الآن is now. Now, min al madrasa, from the school. So, translation, who is that tall man who left from the school now? Remember, this type of al-ana, even in English, you can place them in different place. Their location is not fixed. You could have said kharaja min al madrasati al-an. It would make perfect sense, nothing wrong. So adverbs, you can place them in different locations. So, please do read this type of sentences. You will need to read them a lot to get used to the translation. لمن تلك السيارة الجميلة. As you can see, adjective. How do you know adjective? Look at this one. Careful about your adjective. Make sure you can pick up adjective. Make sure you can pick up sentence. Make sure you can pick up إضافة, positive case. These will be extremely important. I would really encourage someone who really needs help spend a lot of time in this lesson. This lesson is dense. What is milaka? Milaka is spoon. And milaka is feminine, so you say as-saghira. And also, if you're using this book, because some book, they give you all the haraka. If you're using this version, try to put haraka, everything. This is a fun exercise. This is very important exercise. You say al-waladu at-tawilu alladhi kharaja. See, if you know the spelling of the word, okay, you can ignore, but at least make sure you put haraka at the end. Min al fasli al-ana talibun min al hindi. So make sure you know where the ending happens, especially for the grammar. I'm keep on telling you the ending is the grammar. So I will leave the rest for you guys, inshallah. Okay, if you have any question, please bring them to the lab session. This one is very important. This one is very important because you read it and translate and put the haraka. If you really feel comfortable in here, you got this lesson. Okay. الطالب الذي خرج من الفصل الآن من إندونيسيا. الكتاب الذي على المكتب للمدرس. لمن هذا القلم الجميل الذي على المكتب. So you have to know what to put here. Okay, these are your standard. There's no preposition. So you keep on putting dhamma. Please do not skip it. So now the author, rahimahullah, here saying, Baitun jadidun. The bait is man'ud, which is the noun, and na'at is adjective. Huh? Adjective. The same term that we studied already. Make sense? I think I spent way too much time on this one. جيد. So next lesson we have الدرس العاشر, so the 10th lesson, and it is going to be about another, every lesson, the author is introducing something interesting concept. So this concept, this topic is ضمائر, which is plural for ضمير. What is ضمير? ضمير, pronouns. Okay. We had few pronouns, right? We had huwa, we had hiya. I think these are the two we had so far. So these are pronouns. He, and she. So let's see what the explanation says. It says الضمائر ثلاثة. So there are three types of pronouns. Okay, ثلاثة is three. We will deal with a lot of numbers later. So there are three types of pronouns. Here they are al-mutakallim. Number one is al-mutakallim, which is what? In English, we say first person, the one who is speaking. I and we. These are the only two for first person we have. And he give you ana. I will deal with this one a little bit later. Okay, let's just focus on this one for now. Ana. So ana is a pronoun. I. Then I'll come back here. Then al-mukhatab. Mukhatab is second person. For example, you, the one you're talking to, you. So anta. Anta is you. But be careful, anta is you for masculine. Ana can be for both masculine and feminine. When you say ana, we don't distinguish between masculine and feminine. It would be understood based on who is speaking. You have to know who's speaking. But anta, we distinguish. So this anta is for masculine, and we'll learn anti with the kasra would be for feminine. And then we have one more, al-ghaib. Al-ghaib is your third person. Third person. So for example, he, they. So we have huwa, which is he. Make sense? So we have three types of pronoun, just like in English. We have first person, which is al-mutakallim, second person al-mukhatab, and third person al-ghaib. Do you have to memorize these Arabic terms? Not necessarily, but it is there. Okay, but as long as you understand that we have to distinguish between the speaker and the one you addressee, and the one which is third person. But there are a little bit more issue here. In Arabic, we divide the pronouns into two more, even bigger categories. Okay, so we can say dhamir or dhama'ir. We categorize them into two more bigger part. One is, I'll write Arabic term, you don't have to know, but then I'll also mention the English term. One is al-munfasil, munfasil, munfasil. Another one is al-muttasil, muttasil. Munfasil, I'm pretty sure you heard this, some of the terms when you're studying your tajweed or learning to read Quran. Munfasil is what? Is separate, or you can the technical term we use in English is detached. Detached. And so muttasil means connected, which is attached. Make sense? So the pronoun can be detached. Detached means it is separated. It can stay by itself. It is separated. And muttasil means that it is connected. It needs to be connected with something. So for example, when we say ana, this would be separate. And we'll learn that we also have pronouns that is connected. Like for example, yeah, we'll learn about this one, right? This is something that inshallah we will learn even more as we go on, but also try to keep this point in your mind that we have a pronoun that is connected and we have a pronoun that is disconnected. Now the pronoun that is disconnected or detached, it is your subject pronoun. Subject pronouns. So these pronouns will always become subject. So for example, you say, he is a boy. So he is a subject in English, right? So this he is detached in Arabic. So we call it subject pronoun. So here we have to say huwa. Huwa waladun. This huwa is detached. As you can see, who is here is subject. Now, the attached pronoun can be possessive. Right now, I'll just write possessive. It can also be object, but right now, just let's focus on possessive. So the attached would be possessive pronouns. So for example, in English, do we have a possessive pronouns? Of course we do. Do we say he book? No, we say his book. So what happened? The subject pronoun become into possessive pronoun. You understand? For this one, we also have object pronoun. For example, him, I saw him, which is an object. Anyway, right now, make sure you understand there's a difference, even in English and Arabic, of course, there's a difference between what type of pronoun are you talking about. Is it a subject or is it possessive? So subject would always be in Arabic will be detached. And the possessive, in English, it looks like it's detached, right? But in Arabic, no, in Arabic, it will be always attached. And this is what the author is mentioning here. So for example, when he says ana, and then he says baiti, this ya is your pronoun. This is muttasil, attached. So this ya is my. How do you say, what is the possessive pronoun for I in English? My book. You don't say I book, you say my book. So you change the pronoun into possessive pronoun. So this ya we will translate as my. So for example, now if I know that ya is my and this is attached, remember attached pronoun always attach at the end. End. Attach at end. So now only thing we need to know, just put any noun and then you add ya and it would mean that my. So for example, we have qalam, we had qalamun, a pen, but you want to say my pen. What happens? You say qala me. Now here's a little bit tricky things about ya is that ya will force you. It will force you to put a kasra, the letter before it. So this is by force. You have no choice. For example, I will give you one more example of attached pronoun in order to explain, then inshallah we'll read. So we have one more is anta is what? We said anta is what? Anta is you. And this is detached. Detached. And this is subject. Detached are subject pronoun. So for example, if you want to say you are new, for example. So you is a subject. So how do you say it? Anta. Anta jadidun. Make sense? Anta jadidun. So anta is your subject pronoun. So this is your main pronoun. But now you want to say your book or your pen. Let's use the same thing. What did the author says? The pronoun is kaf with fatha. Kaf with fatha. And he's using the same noun. Noun is bait. So when you say baituka, what we had is bait. Then you add kaf as a pronoun and you simply attach, that's the word, attach the kaf baituka and it becomes a possessive case. Now, before I even go further, I will explain something. How do you say a house? You say baitun. Yes? Remember, there is no alif lam. So how do you say a house? You say baitun. Now, what is a possessive case? When you say baituka or your house, for example, your house, is it same thing as house of Muhammad? Because we know that we already studied this one. This is idafa phrase. Now, or we can say Muhammad's house. Let's stick with house of Muhammad. So is this one same thing? Yes, it is same thing. It is same thing of saying house of your. But of course, we don't say it like that. In some context, you can say this house of your belongs to something. You know, you might be able to say it, but most of the time we will say your house. So yes, this is indeed a idafa phrase. So if it is idafa phrase, we should be able to bring it into of construction, which we have done. We just made it this one into a of construction, house of your. So what happens to the first word of the mudaf or idafa, first word, which is mudaf? Can you say baitun here? Hmm? This is the mudaf, this is the first word. No, we have to remove tanween. So we say baitu. And this kaf is mudaf ilayhi. So we say by two and we add kaf. So once we attach, remember this still, because we're still dealing with idafa. The first word cannot take tanween. So we have to remove the tanween. So we say by two ka. Now, what did we say about the second word of idafa? We said that it takes what? It is always what? Second, for example, if we write by to Muhammadin, right? By to Muhammad, always kasra. Now, so can we put a kasra here? So do we say by to ki? When you say ki, this is actually another pronoun. So anta is for masculine, you for masculine, and anti is for you, feminine. So the attached or the possessive pronoun for anta is ka with fatha, and attached pronoun for anti is kaf with kasra. So if we put a kasra here, the meaning changes. So you're saying that you're for feminine house, but that's not what we want to say. We want to say you're for masculine. So what I'm trying to explain to you, that pronouns, remember this rule, pronouns are fixed. Arabic term is mabni. We'll not focus a lot on Arabic terms right now, okay? Because these terms will be heavily used in book 2 and book 3 especially, okay? So I'm not trying to give you a lot of words and make you overwhelmed. But just writing it down, what am I writing? Writing it down just in case some of you are aware of these things. But main thing you have to know, it is fixed. The ending of pronouns are fixed. You cannot change it. You cannot put dhamma, kasra, fatha. Whatever you have, that's what you have. You cannot alter, regardless of where it belongs. Remember what we said, the Muhammad can be Muhammadun, it can be Muhammadin. But huwa will always be huwa. Kaf will always be kaf with fatha, regardless where you put it. Okay, so just keep this in your mind. Otherwise, you will be confused. You will try to put a kasra, then the meaning will change. So now going back here with the ya is a little bit different. Ya has a strong rule. It dictates you that you put, first of all, you know, qalamun, it cannot be qalamun, it should have been qalamu. But once you put ya, it will force you to put a kasra. So this is a rule. There's nothing you can do about this. Okay, there's nothing, don't ask why, just nothing you can do about this one. Just know that whenever you put ya attached pronoun, you better put kasra to the word that you're attaching to. So what happens when you say bait? Now you say baiti. Baiti. See, you put kasra. Here you say baituka, but here you're being forced to put a kasra, baiti. So another pronoun that we have here is huwa, and its attached pronoun is who. Huwa, its attached pronoun is who. So how would you say his house? You say baituhu. 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 Why you have two, not tun? Because this is the mudaf and this is the mudaf ilayhi. So this is the first word of idafa, this is the second word of idafa, which is the same thing as house of his or his house. A lot of people don't understand that there are two words. So this is something you have to understand. Not only we have two words, this is your pure idafa phrase. Mudaf, mudaf ilayhi. Now, so if you were to say go to his house, uh, just say to his house, to his house. So what do? We say ila. Now we want to say his house. We just learn, we say by tuhu, right? We just learned this one, by tuhu. Now, is it okay? Can we say baytuhu? Hmm? No, because this is, we have a preposition. We have to change the first word of idafa. So from here, dhamma, we have to put a kasra. Just like what we learned in positive case, because this is a positive case. This is an idafa. First word of idafa will take whatever haraka it needs. Naam. And the second word, it's supposed to take a kasra, but what did I say? Who is a pronoun? You never change the pronouns. This is in the state of kasra, but we cannot put kasra, inshallah. I don't want to go into the technical term here, but just know that pronouns we cannot change. It will always remain this way. So we say ila baiti. Oh, Allah musta'an. I give you guys a wrong example here. Allah musta'an. Okay, let me change this one for now and put kaf because I'll tell you why something, I have to explain something else. Otherwise, I don't want to confuse you guys. Let's say I want to say go to your home, to the masculine. Yes, I'm going to explain this one. I'll come back. But here, I don't want you to get confused. If I want to say go to your home, to masculine, you say ila baitika. You don't put a kasra. But if I want to say go to your, meaning I'm looking at my daughter and telling go to your room, so you say ila baiti ki, baiti ki. But as you know, this kasra is not coming because of majrur or for the kasra. This is the pronoun. The key is for your feminine. Okay. So a lot of things to remember, and you have to think about them. And if it's something new for you, you have to spend a little bit of time and do a lot of exercise. Okay, so let's see what author mentioned here. He said, al-mutakallimu, says al-mutakallimu al-mudhakkar wal-mu'annath. So he's saying the mutakallim, it is for both masculine or feminine. Meaning when you say ana, whether it is attached or detached or attached, it is both for masculine or feminine. So you say hada baiti, this is my house. Ismi, you can say ismi Muhammad or you can say ismi Fatima. As you see, the ya, the pronoun is the same. So this ya is for both masculine and feminine. Abi wa ummi fil baiti. Make sense? We have indi. What is indi? Enda means at. Or it has many different meanings. Yes, also to have. Here we will have the meaning of have. And that can also mean at, and that can also mean with. So the meaning will change, and maybe I'll explain a bit later. But here the I have would make more sense. So indi qalam. So I have a pen. But if you say ana inda al masjid, I am at the masjid. So we can have, the meaning can be have or at. So let's just stick with have for now. So when you say indi, that means I have. If you say indaka, that means you have for masculine. You say indaki, that means you have for feminine. Okay, so this is a very, very important word you need to memorize. Li, I think li we already have. Li akhun, I have a brother. Akh is a brother. Maybe if the time permits, I will explain a little bit difference between inda and li here in this context. Then we have al-mukhatab al-mudhakkar. So mukhatab, when you talk about second person, we have to distinguish between the masculine and feminine. So we're talking about al-mudhakkar for masculine for now. So we use the attached pronoun kaf and detached pronoun anta. Now, so you say hada baituka, masmuka, sayyaratuka, jamila, abuka, ummuka, so ka. Now, so these are possessive pronouns. Here we have indaka. See, we have indi wa indaka qalamun. Do you have a pen? Then we have mukhatab al-mu'annath. So we have the second person singular for feminine, which is ki. And the other pronoun is anti. So anti is the detached and ki is the attached. So baituki, your, but now you're looking at a female person. Baituki, your house. Masmuki, what is your name? Here it cannot be ismi Muhammad. It has to be female name because you're addressing a female person. Sayyaratuki, and everything else is the same. Then we have al-ghaib al-mudhakkar. So third person for masculine, we have huwa. Okay, huwa. And the pronoun that we use is who, attached pronoun. So baituhu, ismuhu, sayyaratuhu, all of those things. Indahu. Now, and ghaib al-mu'annath for third person feminine, we say hiya. And the pronoun that we use is ha with alif. Okay, ha with alif. So we say baituha, her house. Ismuha, masmuha. What is her name? Sayyaratuha jamila. Her car is beautiful. Abuha, her father. Ummuha, her mother. Fil baiti. Naam. So make sure you know these five pronouns. Ana and ya. Anta and ka. Anti and ki. Huwa with who. Hiya with ha. Okay, so you have to memorize them. Uh, I do want to write quickly here. Ana, okay, ya, anta, kaf, anti, kaf with kasra, okay. Then huwa, hu, hiya, hiya, ha. Naam? So please make sure you know these pronouns. Guys, don't go easy on the pronouns. There are 12 pronouns. We only have 5 here. So if you're not mastering them right now, the author is not trying to overwhelm you. A lot of grammar book, they give you all 12 pronouns on the spot. Okay, so that might be a little bit difficult. So we only have 5, so you have to memorize them, you have to master them. Then the author will give you more as we go. So now we have the author is talking about Andy and Lee. Okay, so this topic, it is being discussed here. There is a little bit uh, subtlety, nuances between usage of Andy and Lee, especially when you think we are trying to translate as have. So you say Andy, Lee غير عاقل. So when you want to say I have, the translate is to have, then we use enda for objects. So for example, book. You want to say, I have a book. You say, عندي kitab. Right here, عندي kitab, exactly the one that I said. Because kitab is غير عقل, we have to use عندي. You say, عندي ساعة. I have a watch. عندي دراجة. I have a bike. Make sense? So when you say عندي, make sure you use an object. You don't say human being. So for example, you will not say عندي waladun. I have a son. Indi bintun. I have a daughter. Because these are human beings. So what do we use? We use li. Li, here it means I have. Meaning it's coming as a have. Remember, li can also be for or belongs to. Based on the context, you have to change the translation as well. Here we're using li as have. So you say li ukhtun. I have a sister. Wahidatun. I have one sister. Look, even here we're using adjective. Is a sister. The word for wahid, one is wahid, but we're adding ta marbuta because we're describing ukht, which is a female, mu'annath. Then you say li ibnun wa bintun. I have a son and a daughter. So li, you cannot say indi ibnun. Although, trust me, believe it or not, that's what they do. The Arabs in the spoken language, this is not very enforced. But in writing and proper Arabic, yes, you cannot use here enda. You cannot say indi ibnun wa bintun. So he is showing you cannot say, yeah, this is fine, alaka akhun, but you cannot say indaka akhun. You cannot say inda because you're asking about aqil. Okay? So, but this is fine. Indaka kitabun because inda and kitab goes well. But you cannot say alaka kitabun. Do you have a book? Because laka we use for a human being. Make sense? But we have another one. Ma means have. But here, better translation would be with. meaning you have something, but you have it with you. The difference between inda and ma is that you can say indi nuqud, I have money. Not necessarily you have it on your pocket right now. فهمتم? But when you say ma'i nuqud, that means yes, I have it, but I have it with me. So this is, so the with, ma is with. So for example, we have kharaja Hamidun ma Khalid. So Hamid left with Khalid. Uh, Now, as you can see, after ma, we have, we do a kasra, just like preposition. You could have said like ila Khalid, ila Khalidin. But ila, when you go into a little bit technical, ila is particle, harf. The ma is not a particle. The way it is using it is actually mudaf ilayhi. Ma is isim, and the Khalid is mudaf ilayhi. The ism dharf, naam, exactly. So ma, when you say it's dharf, but you also say it is mudaf, then Khalid would be mudaf ilayhi. We're not going to be doing exact proper Arab right now, just as long as you know after ma, you put kasra, just like fi or li. Naam? So you need to make sure to put kasra. So ذهب الطبيب مع المهندس. So the doctor went with the engineer. Okay? Man ma'aka ya Aliyu? Who is with you? Why don't we have Aliyun here? Who can tell me? Did we do this one? Did we have this concept when you have ya? So after ya, remember we said we cannot have tanween. So it was Aliyun, but when you say ya, you call someone with ya, then you drop the tanween. You say ya Aliyu. So you're asking who is with you, O Ali? Then you say ma'i. And remember, as soon as you add this ya is me, my, mine, all of these things. As soon as you add this ya of mutakallim, you must put a kasra before it. Here we didn't have to do this one, but here we have to do this one. And remember, the spelling of ma here is ma'a. This fatha is part of the spelling. This fatha is coming for the dharf. Inshallah, we'll talk about this later. But right now, just make sure this spelling, enda, with enda. This fatha is part of the spelling. Just think about for right now. Because remember, I mentioned to you that everything by default is the dhamma. So these words, they will take a fatha because they are adverbs. Adverbs. We'll learn a lot more about them. Adverbs takes a fatha. So this is another grammatical things that we'll learn when we change from the dhamma to fatha. We know how to change from dhamma to kasra when you have a preposition or the second word of idafa, but adverbs will take a fatha. Inshallah, we'll talk about them. Just don't worry about too much, but make sure that default spelling is with the fatha. Naam. So you say ma Khalidin, but you don't say ma Khalidun because this is coming as, mudaf ilayhi. So we have Aisha tu ma'aha zawjuha. Aisha with her is her husband. So this one is tricky. You have to get used to because the book used this type of phrase or this type of sentence a lot. So what's going on here? We say Aisha tu, meaning we're talking about Aisha. Then we say ma'aha, with her. With her is who? Zawjuha, with her husband. It's something like that. For example, you say Aminatu hiya binti. Say binti. Amina, she is my daughter. I could have said Aminatu binti. Naam. I could have said Aminatu binti. So what we have here is this kind of things. Like the example that I have. You introduce the person first, and then you talk about that person by using pronoun. So I introduce the person by name first, then I start using the pronoun. So here, same thing. Aisha too. Now you want to say what about her? Ma'ha, with her, zawjuha, her husband. So zawj, I think we already know is husband. Or spouse would be better translation. If you want to be precise, zawj means spouse, but in modern context, it means husband. Here it is. See, it's showing you Ma is mudaf and Khalid is mudaf ilayhi. Just like your idafa, which is the same thing as baytuka. Don't forget this one, baytuka. This is also mudaf. Kaf is mudaf ilayhi. The author here is talking about one more thing. Al-alam al-mudhakkar al-makhtum bita ta'nith la yunawwan. So he's talking about a proper masculine name that ends with ta. Ta ta'nith here means ta marbuta. Because ta ta'nith for ism is ta marbuta and ta ta'nith for verb is this ta with the sukun. But any proper masculine name, if it has a ta marbuta, it will not take tanween. Just like, female names. So for example, we have Muhammadun, but we have Hamza, two. Khalidun, Talha, two. Okay. Remember, last time we said any feminine name, it will not take tanween. But now you might be thinking, well, it is not a feminine name. Talha is not a feminine name. So why do you want me not to take a tanween? Because this is a rule. The rule is that if the masculine name takes a ta marbuta, it will not take a tanween. You have a masculine name, but you have a ta marbuta. Guess what? We cannot have tanween. Okay, Husainun, and we have Osama too. You can think about, to make your life a little bit easy, I can say it with confidence, you can write it any proper name, whether it's masculine, feminine, city, country, state, doesn't matter. Any proper name with this ta marbuta will not take tanween. Any proper name that has ta marbuta, it will become this concept that we're keep on mentioning, غير منصرف, ممنوع من الصرف. Now, and then here it is, ma is a ظرف makan. Ma is actually adverb. ظرف is adverb. Makan is place. Remember, in English, we have adverb of time and adverb of place. Okay, front is adverb of place. Before is mostly adverb for time. Now, I don't think you say before for place. So in English, we also have adverb of time and place. In Arabic, we also have adverb of place, which is makan, time is zaman. So the ma is for dhaf, makan, adverb of place. And it says, al-ithmu alladhi ba'dahu majrurun bil kasra. And the noun that comes after that, it will be majrur bil kasra. Why? Because it's mudaf ilayhi. He doesn't have to say this one. We can just say mudaf ilayhi. Okay, we know that mudaf ilayhi, it is always majrur. So this would be mudaf, and what the word that comes after it would be mudaf ilayhi. Allah mustan. So I'm just going to go through very quickly the main lessons because honestly we ran out of time way before. So let me just quickly go through it. Otherwise it won't be complete. So we have ad-darsul ashir, the 10th exercise. Everything we already talked about. Remember, here we're learning about the pronouns. Okay, so we have ana, focus on the pronouns, anta. Okay, all of these are pronouns. So these are the detached pronouns, subject pronouns. Okay, so you say ana talibun, I am a student. So this is the subject. Now this is attached pronoun. So this is your possessive pronoun. Masmuka. You want to ask someone, what is your name? You have to say masmuka. But if it is masculine, you say masmuka. If it is feminine, you say masmuki. Naam. Then you say ismi. Everything we already talked about. Al-fata is young man or boy. And remember, see, this sentence structure is coming. So make sure you pay attention to the last chapter. Okay. Man hadha al-fata alladhi ma'ak. Huwa zamili, my classmate. Aydan is also. Okay. It is also coming as some type of adverb. That's why it is taking a fatha. Uh, now, what would be here? Muhammadun? No, you have ya, you say ya Muhammadu. Rules are piling up, guys, so make sure you are keeping up with all the rules. Lughati al-Urdiya. Urdu, right? My language is Urdu. Then he's asking, Ahia lugatun sahlatun? See, this is adjective phrase. Everything is coming, guys. So you have to keep up with your work. Here it is, remember, we already talked about here it means she, but here it will be, we will be translating as it because we don't have any it. Loga is feminine. Now, please go through them. Kuwait, it is the country Kuwait. So don't think this is some new vocabs. See, these are very long sentences, right? This is something that you should be able to translate. Okay. Wali ukhtun. We don't say wa indi. We have to say li because ukht is a human being. I have a sister. Wahidatun. I have one sister. Ismuha. Her name is Zainab. Okay. Wahia fil Iraq. She is in the Iraq. Ma'a zawjiha. With her spouse. Wa zawjuha muhandisun. You can say her spouse or husband is a engineer. It's a long sentence, but if you break them down, we have learned everything. Please do these things. This would be interesting. You choose who or ha based on the gender. So هذه البنت طالبة. So you say اسمها. نعم. محمد طبيب ابنه وابنه his son. Then you say muhandis, his son is engineer. Very good exercise. Simple, but do them. Okay, so we did not get to talk about this one. Okay, I'm pretty sure this concept will come one more time, then I'll explain. This is basically how do we say uh, no in nominative sentence. This is very interesting way of saying it. There's another way, Laisa, Bama, here is coming as a Laisa. Inshallah, I will explain to you. I'm pretty sure this sentence will come one more time, then I will explain a little bit more. Please make sure you understand this chart. Baiti, baituka, baituhu, baituha, very easy. This is extremely important exercise, guys. This will help you with conjugation. And when you do these, please do read out loud. Kitabi, kitabuka, kitabuhu, kitabuha. You should also do kitabuki. Okay. Ismi, ismuhu, ismuka, ismuha. You know, pick at least pick 5 at least and conjugate them. Now, one thing to note about this la, originally this preposition was with kasra, li. It is the same preposition. You say li, then you say Muhammad, you say li Muhammadin, right? Li Muhammadin. But when you add the same li, it's the same lam, you add with the pronoun, attached pronoun, it becomes la. So you don't say lika, okay? You pronounce with la, laka, lahu, laha, except for ya, because I already mentioned to you that ya has a very separate rule. Everything needs to be kasra when you have ya. There's no exception. And we also talked about ma, all the rules, we went through them. Simple exercise. We'll talk about this one a little bit later, okay? These are very special word. When we have ab and akh, as you can see, we have a new letter. We cannot just say abuka or akhuka. We have to introduce a wow. Sometimes ya, sometimes alif. We will talk about this one. These are called min asma al khamsa. There are 5 special words in Arabic language that has this similar type of rule. Okay, so inshallah we will talk about them later. I think everything else we talked about them, and only thing you might have a little bit difficulties is with the vocabs. Please use the dictionary. And if you're having hard time with alladhi, this is what I'm afraid of. Please do go back to the last lesson and try to translate everything. And if you translate word for word and it doesn't make sense, then try to see where is the break. Some of them might not have a complete sentence, depends on what they're writing, and some of them might be a complete sentence. Think about that definite and indefinite. and think about alladhi as a whole chunk, the way that I explained to you, okay? Try to find out what is the whole chunk and where do you make the break. So that is a little bit tricky, okay? But everything else is inshallah easy. With that, I'll wrap up. It took me a way long time than it needed to.